"Please don't do that forbidden thing," she pleaded, but the rancher ignored her, and the town erupted in outrage. It did not appear on most star maps. Supply ships only stopped there when they had to. The Galactic Council spoke of it only in footnotes and reports, usually followed by the words "low priority settlement." But Drywater Junction survived. It survived because humans lived there. The town sat on a wide stretch of dry plains beneath a pale orange sky. Wind moved slowly through the tall grass, bending it like waves on a quiet sea. Low metal buildings stood in neat lines, patched and repaired many times over. Water towers hummed softly. Solar panels creaked in the heat. And beneath it all, far beneath the soil and stone, slept something very old. Jonah Cade stood at the fence line of his ranch, hands resting on worn wooden posts. He watched the cattle drones move slowly across the fields, guiding genetically hardened livestock toward shade. The machines worked well, but Jonah trusted his own eyes more than any sensor. He had lived on this land for 27 years. His father had lived here before him, and his father's father, back when Drywater Junction was nothing more than tents and hope. Jonah felt it again. A faint vibration beneath his boots, not strong, not dangerous, just there. He frowned and pressed his foot into the dirt. The ground responded. A soft hum traveled upward like a deep breath taken by the planet itself. Jonah straightened. "That's new," he muttered. Behind him, a hover vehicle descended in a cloud of dust. Its silver hull reflected the sunlight as it settled near the fence. The door opened smoothly. Mara Vell stepped out. She was not human, though she looked close enough to confuse visitors. Tall and slim, with smooth pale blue skin and dark eyes that reflected light differently than human eyes did. She wore the neutral gray uniform of the Galactic Oversight Authority. Jonah sighed. "Morning, Mara," he said without turning. "You're early." Mara walked toward him, boots crunching against the dry soil. Her expression was tight, controlled, but worried. "We detected activity," she said, "under your land." Jonah finally turned to face her. "Detected what kind of activity?" Mara hesitated. That alone told Jonah everything. "The kind you were told never to touch," she said quietly. Jonah crossed his arms. "I didn't touch anything." "That doesn't matter," Mara replied. "Human presence is enough." She glanced around the ranch, as if the open land itself made her nervous. "There is one rule in Drywater Junction," she continued. "One. No human is allowed to activate Terran legacy systems." Jonah let out a humorless laugh. "You say that like I've got a big red button lying around." Mara stepped closer. "Jonah, please listen. Your ranch sits directly above a sealed Terran structure. It was buried long before this town existed." "I know," Jonah said calmly. "Everyone knows." "What most people don't know," Mara said, lowering her voice, "is that the system is waking up." Jonah felt the hum again, stronger this time. It rolled through the ground like distant thunder. Mara saw his reaction. "You feel it, don't you?" she asked. Jonah nodded slowly. "Yeah," her voice tightened. "That system was locked for a reason. When humans left the galactic stage centuries ago, the Council declared your technology dangerous." Jonah raised an eyebrow. "Dangerous how?" "Unpredictable," Mara corrected. "It doesn't follow standard command logic. It adapts, it decides." Jonah looked down at the land beneath his feet, dry soil, cracked earth, a place that alien climate systems had failed to fix for decades. "And what if it decides to help?" he asked. Mara's eyes widened slightly. "That is exactly the problem," she said. Before Jonah could respond, a soft chime echoed across the ranch. The ground shifted, not violently, carefully. A circular section of earth several meters away sank downward, soil folding inward as if guided by invisible hands. Dust rose into the air. Beneath it, metal emerged, smooth, dark, untouched by time. Jonah stared. Mara stepped back. "Oh no!" The structure continued to rise, revealing a low platform covered in faintly glowing symbols. The hum grew steadier, almost comforting. A small pillar extended upward from the center. On it was a single interface. Simple, clean, human. Mara's breath quickened. Jonah, don't. He didn't move. The interface lit up. A calm, neutral voice spoke, not aloud but inside Jonah's mind. Human presence confirmed. Jonah sucked in a sharp breath. Mara saw his reaction. It's talking to you. Biological match detected. Authorization pending. Jonah took a step forward. Mara rushed between him and the platform. Please, she said, her voice shaking now. Please don't do that forbidden thing. Jonah stopped. He looked at her, really looked. She wasn't an enforcer. She wasn't a soldier. She was a liaison. Someone sent to manage humans, to keep them quiet, to keep old rules in place. Why are you afraid? Jonah asked gently. Mara swallowed. Because the last time humans used their full systems, the galaxy changed. Jonah glanced at the cracked land around them. Looks like it needs changing again. Intent analysis ongoing, the voice said. Mara turned pale. It's reading you. Jonah stepped around her. Jonah, she cried. If you activate it, the council will respond. Sanctions, military pressure. The town, everyone here will suffer. Jonah placed his hand above the interface, not touching it yet. Let me ask you something, he said quietly. Has the council ever fixed this land? Mara didn't answer. Has it ever made things better here? He continued. Silence. Jonah lowered his hand onto the interface. The glow brightened. Authorization granted, the voice said. The ground shook, not violently but deeply. Energy rippled outward beneath the ranch, spreading beyond it, racing toward the town. Alarms began sounding in the distance. Mara stumbled back, staring in horror. You did it. Jonah felt warmth move through his body. Not pain, not power, understanding. Images flashed in his mind. Systems designed to restore balance, not dominate. Machines built to listen, not command. The platform sank back into the ground, sealing itself as quietly as it had emerged. The land went still. The hum remained. Mara looked at Jonah as if seeing him for the first time. Do you know what you've done? Jonah nodded slowly. Yeah. He looked toward Drywater Junction, where lights flickered as systems reacted to the sudden energy shift. I reminded the galaxy, he said, that we're still here. Above them, far beyond the sky, sensors pinged. Signals raced outward. Long silent channels reopened. The town had rules. The galaxy had rules. And a human had just broken the oldest one. The morning sun hung low over Drywater Junction, painting the dusty streets in orange and gold. Smoke from the town's few factories curled lazily into the sky. But the warmth of the day did not calm the tension building in the hearts of its residents. Word of Jonah Cade's action had already spread. By now, almost every building in Drywater Junction had a small crowd outside. Merchants stopped arranging their wares. Workers abandoned their machines. Children clutched the hands of their parents, sensing something extraordinary, though none fully understood what it was. Mara Vell hovered near the fence line, her pale blue skin almost glowing under the morning light. She looked exhausted, though the light breeze made her cloak flutter softly. Jonah stood beside her, arms crossed, surveying the small crowd gathering. They're angry, Mara said quietly, almost to herself. They should be, Jonah replied. I broke a rule. But sometimes rules are broken for a reason. Mara shook her head. No, Jonah, not sometimes. This is not sometimes. This is always. The council banned humans from activating Terran legacy systems for a reason. Jonah turned to look at her, his brown eyes calm but firm. What reason? Mara hesitated. Even after years of serving as a liaison between humans and the council, even after decades of studying human history, the truth still weighed heavy. Humans were unpredictable, dangerous. The systems respond to intent. They listen. And humans can make choices no one else can control. Jonah's expression softened. Sounds like a compliment, Mara frowned. It is not. He let the silence stretch. Then, without breaking eye contact with the growing crowd, he said, Look at the land, look at this town. Look at the plains. All this was failing. Machines, governance, councils, nothing fixed it. Maybe it's time humans take responsibility for their own mistakes. Mara's jaw tightened. She could feel the weight of the council's authority pressing down, but she also felt the undeniable truth in Jonah's words. For decades, humans had been sidelined, watched, judged, but never trusted. And now, for the first time, the proof of their capability was alive beneath their feet. A loud voice broke the quiet. "That man is insane." It was Tom Carver, owner of the general store. He stomped toward Jonah, fists clenched. His apron was dust-stained and his hair stuck out in all directions. "He's going to get us all killed. You heard Mara, right? The council will send enforcers. The town will be destroyed." Jonah's gaze shifted to Tom, calm but firm. "Tom, I understand your fear. But I'm not asking for permission. I'm asking for you to see the truth. The system beneath my land, it's not dangerous. Not to us." Tom's face twisted in anger. "And if it decides differently, if it decides you aren't human enough, or if it calls in the council anyway?" Jonah shook his head. "It doesn't work like that. It listens to intent. It adapts. I know what it wants. I know what it will do." From the back of the crowd, someone muttered, "He's a fool. Everyone knows humans can't be trusted." Jonah turned slowly. "That's exactly what I'm proving wrong." Mara stepped forward. "Jonah, I know you trust your instincts, but we cannot underestimate the council. They will act. And if they do, they will see the proof for themselves," Jonah interrupted. "The systems are working already. Look." The crowd followed his gaze. Slowly, as if nature itself had been given new instructions, the plains began to change. Dust swirled less. Small sprouts of green appeared where the soil had been barren. Streams that had long run dry shimmered faintly, reflecting sunlight like crystal threads. Machines that had failed began to hum again, stabilizing on their own. The crowd gasped. A child in the front clapped, pointing at the newly flowing water. "Look, the land, it's alive." Tom's fists dropped, his anger replaced by disbelief. That's impossible," he whispered. "It should have collapsed, not healed." Jonah's lips curved into a small smile. "Impossible only exists in stories until someone tries." From above, a faint signal pinged. Mara's communicator vibrated. She glanced down, her face draining of color. "It's the council, they know," Jonah nodded. "Good, let them see." By midday, Drywater Junction was in chaos, but not the kind caused by destruction. It was confusion, fear, and awe mixed together. Townspeople argued in the streets. Some blamed Jonah. Others, seeing the revitalized land, whispered that he had done something miraculous. Mara moved through the crowd, trying to calm both sides. "Listen to me," she called. "This isn't about anger or blame. Jonah's action, it's a test. The system beneath the land is designed to respond to humans correctly. We need to observe, not panic." A group of farmers crossed their arms, skeptical. "Why now? Why him? Why not the council?" "Because the council doesn't trust humans," Jonah said. "They never have, and maybe they never will, but the system trusts humans." Mara caught a faint flicker of motion in the distance. A ship, a small orbital observation vessel, descended slowly, hovering above the plains. Its dark hull reflected the sun like a mirror. Communication channels buzzed across the town as the town's sensors picked up signals. The council had arrived. From the vessel, a message projected through the skies. The voice was stern, metallic, unyielding. "Jonah Cade, you have violated galactic law. Cease all activity immediately. Human townspeople, stay within your homes." Jonah looked up at the message, then at Mara. "They don't understand, they've never understood humans." Mara whispered. "If you don't comply, they will destroy the system, maybe the land too." Jonah shook his head. "Not today." He raised his hand and the plains seemed to respond, rolling like a gentle wave. The system beneath the land activated fully, glowing faintly in patterns that only Jonah could interpret. Streams flowed faster. Crops that had been planted days before suddenly sprouted taller. Small, robotic repair units that had long been idle moved across damaged roads, fixing and restoring with precision. The crowd watched, stunned into silence. Even the council's holographic projection flickered as the systems resisted external commands. Mara stepped closer. "It's defending you," Jonah nodded. "And all of Drywater Junction, too. Humans didn't ask for this technology to serve aliens. It serves us first." Tom, who had been pacing in anger moments before, now watched with his jaw open. You just stood up to the council and it listened to you," Jonah shrugged slightly. "Not me. Humans, they trust us because we adapt. We think differently. We care differently. We act when action is needed, not when someone orders us." Mara's voice trembled. "But the council, they won't stop. They never do." Jonah glanced toward the horizon where council ships hovered like silent sentinels. "Then we show them we aren't afraid. We show them we're still alive, that humans still matter." The crowd, once skeptical, began to murmur. Some cheered. Some shook their heads in disbelief. But slowly, understanding spread. Humans had broken a rule that had silenced them for centuries. And yet nothing had exploded. Nothing had been destroyed. Instead, the town and its land was thriving. From that moment, Jonah realized something important. The council's rules were not unbreakable. They were only untested. And humans were the ones who could pass that test. Mara took a deep breath. "Jonah, you're changing more than the land. You're changing everyone's perception, even mine." Jonah smiled faintly. "Good. Maybe it's time humans get a chance to prove what we've always known." Above them, the council's signal pulsed. Below, the land hummed in quiet harmony. And in the middle of it all, a stubborn human rancher stood tall, unafraid to defy orders, unafraid to challenge centuries of silence. The town had erupted in outrage, yes. But that outrage was not the end. It was only the beginning. Jonah looked at Mara. "Ready for the next step?" Mara hesitated, then nodded. "We need to explain what this means before anyone else panics." Jonah chuckled softly. "Don't worry, the land will speak for itself." And as the sun climbed higher, Drywater Junction, a small, dusty town on a quiet planet, began to understand something it had almost forgotten. Humans were not to be underestimated. The sky above Drywater Junction was streaked with copper and silver as council ships hovered like silent guardians. Their presence filled the plains with tension, a weight that pressed down on the small town. Jonah Cade watched them from his porch, hands gripping the worn railing. The wind blew hot and dry, carrying the scent of turned soil and the faint hum of the Terran system beneath his ranch. Mara Vell stood beside him, her expression a mix of worry and awe. "They won't back down," she said softly, almost more to herself than to Jonah. "They'll demand obedience." Jonah shrugged, his eyes on the distant ships. "They've never faced humans who don't obey, and I'm not about to start now." The streets below were busy. The townspeople had returned, drawn by curiosity, fear, and hope. They whispered among themselves, glancing up at the hovering vessels, at the shimmering fields, at the repaired roads and flowing water that had been dead for years. Children played near the new streams, their laughter a quiet rebellion against the fear above. Mara shook her head. "Jonah, even if you can control the system, what if the council attacks the town? What if they think your actions are a threat?" Jonah's jaw tightened. "Then we show them that humans don't act out of threat, they act out of need. We're not reckless. We're responsible." A sharp sound cut through the air, a descending shuttle from one of the council ships. Its landing caused dust to rise in thick clouds, scattering the crowd. The hatch opened, and a group of alien enforcers stepped out, their armor reflecting the sun in harsh glints. Their leader, a tall figure with glimmering green skin and multiple eyes, spoke with authority that demanded attention. "Jonah Cade," the alien said, voice amplified but calm, "you have violated galactic law. Cease all activity and surrender control of the Terran system immediately." Jonah stepped forward unafraid. "I won't surrender, not to you, not to anyone." The crowd gasped. Mara's eyes widened. Jonah, they're trained for this, you can't fight them alone. Jonah shook his head. I'm not fighting, I'm proving. The alien enforcer raised a hand. Proof does not excuse disobedience. You will comply. Jonah glanced at Mara. Watch. He stepped toward the plains, toward the hum beneath the soil. His voice was steady. System, respond. Immediately, the ground trembled, not violently, but powerfully. The Terran technology beneath the town reacted. Tiny lights flickered along the fields, then spread in patterns across the ranch. The water in the streams began to move faster, controlled with perfect balance. Small repair drones lifted from hidden stations, repairing roads and structures with mechanical precision. The aliens took a step back, visibly startled. Their sensors had not predicted this response. The system was not only active, it was defending the town, adapting to human presence. It would not allow itself to be controlled by anyone else. Mara whispered, "It's rejecting them." Jonah nodded. "Exactly. It listens to humans first. It doesn't respond to commands if it senses fear or coercion." The lead enforcer's many eyes blinked rapidly. He raised a hand and issued a series of commands in a complex code. The Terran system paused, then ignored the orders entirely. Drones continued repairing, streams continued flowing, crops continued to thrive. The system acknowledged only Jonah's presence and through him, the town. The enforcer turned to his team. They underestimated humans. Adapt to control. Jonah's voice was calm but firm. You can't adapt us. You can't control humans like machines. Some townspeople had gathered near the edge of the fields. Tom Carver, once furious, now watched silently, all written on his face. He's standing his ground and the system listens. Yes, Jonah said. Humans don't need approval, we need responsibility. Mara's hands trembled slightly. Jonah, they might escalate. You've seen what they can do in the past. Jonah raised a hand, halting her worry. The system is stabilizing everything. It won't hurt anyone unless someone tries to destroy it. If they attack, it will protect us. We just need to hold our ground. The enforcers advanced cautiously, trying to find a weakness. They used scanning devices, energy disruptors, even attempts at direct hacking. Each time, the Terran system adapted, shifting energy, shielding critical points, and reinforcing structures. It moved faster than any human or alien could predict. The plains were alive, not with animals or weather, but with technology responding perfectly to intent. Mara watched the alien leader's many eyes narrow. They're realizing what humans can do, she said. Jonah, you're showing them everything. Jonah smiled faintly. We don't need to fight, we just need to act. The alien leader's voice became sharper. Jonah Cade, surrender immediately, or we will take forceful measures. Jonah stepped closer to the interface buried beneath his ranch, feeling the hum of the system through the soil. I will not surrender. Humans don't act out of fear. We act when it's right, and what I am doing is right. The system responded with a subtle but powerful vibration beneath his feet, sending a clear signal of readiness to anyone who could sense it. The drones lifted, forming protective patterns, shielding the town. Water channels shifted to block potential damage. Energy fields shimmered subtly in the air, invisible to the eye but detectable by sensors. Mara's voice trembled with a mixture of fear and pride. Jonah, the council may not understand, but you're showing them. Humans have a purpose. Jonah looked at her. Not me. Humans, they've always had one. They just weren't allowed to act. The enforcers paused, confusion spreading through their ranks. The alien leader's eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of recalibration. Jonah realized the council did not understand humans because they never had to. They underestimated humans' capacity to adapt, to think, to act differently. Tom Carver stepped forward, muttering under his breath. I never thought I'd see the day, humans actually standing their ground. Jonah glanced at the townspeople. This is your home, protect it. Protect it with your lives if needed, but remember, the system listens to intent. It will protect you if you stand for what's right. The alien leader's voice boomed across the field. You leave us no choice. Prepare to use suppression measures. Jonah raised his hand. Try, but remember, humans are not predictable. A wave of energy, barely visible, pulsed across the plains. The drones moved faster, structures reinforced automatically, and small repair devices glowed as they activated emergency defenses. The Council's suppressive measures had no effect. The Terran system had learned, adapted, and chosen sides. Mara's eyes were wide with disbelief. It's defending the town, defending humans. Jonah's voice was steady, confident. That's what it's meant to do. It was built for us by us. We were trusted once, and now we're proving we can still be trusted. The alien leader's eyes narrowed further. This changes nothing. Humans will obey the council. Jonah shook his head. No, humans don't obey blindly. We prove our worth with action, with responsibility, not fear. The lead enforcers' team hesitated. Some of them looked at the townspeople, now emboldened. Children splashed in the streams, farmers walked through repaired fields, and workers operated drones with careful hands. The town had united without a single command. The humans were calm, patient, and deliberate. Mara whispered, Jonah, they're seeing what humans can do together. Jonah nodded. Exactly. Humans adapt. Humans protect. Humans act. That's why the system listens. A faint signal flickered from the council ship above, attempting to override the Terran system again. This time, the system responded by creating a subtle field that blocked the signal entirely. The alien technology could not penetrate the defense. Jonah realized, with a quiet thrill, that humans had regained control of something they had long been forbidden to use. The alien leader's eyes blinked rapidly. He stepped back, recalculating strategies. Jonah met his gaze steadily, unafraid. You cannot control us, Jonah said simply, and the system knows it. The aliens paused. The town held its collective breath. The plains hummed with quiet energy, alive in ways the council had long forgotten. And Jonah Cade, a simple rancher, stood at the center of it all, human, fearless, and determined. Mara stepped closer, her voice a mixture of relief and awe. Jonah, you're not just protecting the town, you're showing the council what humans really are. Jonah's eyes swept across Drywater Junction. We've been underestimated for too long. It's time they remember. And for the first time in centuries, humans were no longer silent. The council had arrived, yes, but the humans of Drywater Junction were ready. The battle of perception had begun. And Jonah Cade, the stubborn rancher, had just won the first round. The plains hummed with subtle energy, a heartbeat beneath the soil that matched the pulse of the humans above. Streams flowed steadily, crops grew taller than anyone had hoped, and repair drones moved with careful precision, rebuilding broken roads and structures. The Terran system, long dormant, responded only to human intent, and Jonah Cade had awakened it. Above the town, council ships hovered, blinking lights casting sharp reflections on the plains. Jonah stood at the fence line, hands gripping the wooden posts, his brown eyes fixed on the hovering vessels. Mara Vell stood beside him, her pale blue skin shimmering under the sun. Both watched silently as the galaxy's attention focused entirely on a small human town. They're still calculating, Mara whispered. They don't understand humans, they never have. Jonah nodded. They're about to find out. A subtle vibration ran through the ground. The system beneath the plains responded to Jonah's intent, not just defending the town but preparing a message. Tiny drones hovered in formation, creating patterns in the air. Streams of energy pulsed across the soil, invisible to the naked eye but detectable by distant sensors. Jonah placed his hand above the central interface buried beneath his ranch. Broadcast, he said. Immediately, the system responded. Signals rippled outward, reaching the council ships and the distant networks of the galaxy. Jonah's voice, calm and deliberate, echoed through communication channels far beyond the town. This is Jonah Cade of Drywater Junction. Humans are still here. We have always adapted. We have always survived. And we will act when it is right. The words traveled like a shockwave. Across the frontier, systems long thought abandoned began to stir. Terran technology, once silent and dormant, responded to the signal. Drones, machines, and repair units powered on, adapting to the presence of humans across multiple worlds. Mara's eyes widened. They're waking up, Jonah nodded, and they'll keep waking up because humans are not passive. We act, we think, we adapt. Back in the Council's command vessel, alarms blared. The lead enforcer blinked rapidly with multiple eyes scanning the new signals. They are activating Terran systems across multiple sectors, he reported. How is this possible? They should have no authorization. The Council's voice, stern and metallic, echoed across the ship. Humans were forbidden to activate these systems. Shut them down immediately. Prevent further spread. But the Terran systems did not respond to commands from the Council. They recognized humans. They listened to intent. And humans, for the first time in centuries, were acting freely. Below Drywater Junction's townspeople began to understand what was happening. Farmers stopped their work to watch streams twist into life. Children laughed as drones built bridges across dried riverbeds. Tom Carver, once furious at Jonah, now stood with a look of awe. I don't understand it, he muttered. Everything is moving on its own but following him. Jonah smiled faintly. It's not me, Tom, it's humans. We've been underestimated for centuries, and now the galaxy is seeing what we've always known about ourselves. Mara's eyes glimmered. Jonah, they're watching. Every council ship, every monitoring station, every distant world. They're listening to you. Jonah's gaze swept across Drywater Junction. The town was small, dusty, and unremarkable in the eyes of the galaxy. But today it was the center of attention. Good, he said. Let them see, let them remember. From above, one of the council ships attempted to override the local Terran systems, sending a wave of signals to seize control. Jonah raised his hand, and the ground pulsed in response. Streams of energy blocked the intrusions. Drones lifted into defensive formations, creating invisible shields around the town. Crops swayed in precise rhythm, repairing damage from previous storms and neglect. Roads repaired themselves in minutes, not days. The aliens could not control the system. It adapted. It protected. It responded to human intent, and human intent was clear. The town, the land, and its people were to remain safe. The council leaders' many eyes blinked rapidly. They are independent. The systems are resisting control. How is this possible? Jonah turned to Mara. Because they were built for humans, always built for humans. The council forgot that, but the systems never did. Mara shook her head, awe and fear mixing in her expression. You've done more than defend a town, Jonah. You've shown the galaxy what humans can do. They'll never ignore us again. Jonah nodded. They won't ignore humans, but we need to show them more than that. We need to show them that we act responsibly, that we adapt, and that we can protect ourselves without them dictating every move. From the crowd, a group of children waved at the drones above. The drones responded, hovering in playful patterns, forming shapes and letters that spelled, "Humans stand." Mara's eyes filled with tears. Even the system is showing pride in us. Jonah's gaze hardened. Pride isn't enough. Respect is earned, and today we earn it. Meanwhile, council ships began sending messages to nearby colonies, warning them of the human actions at Drywater Junction. Many distant planets hesitated, unsure what to do. Humans were supposed to be silent, obedient, and contained. Now they were broadcasting their presence, awakening systems, and acting decisively. Jonah moved toward the town center. Listen, everyone, he said, voice carrying across the plains. What you're seeing is not just about me. It's about all of us. Humans are capable of incredible things when we act together. Today, the galaxy is watching. How we respond matters. The townspeople, inspired by his words, began organizing. Farmers coordinated water flow from the revived streams. Workers monitored drones, ensuring they repaired rather than destroyed. Merchants opened their stores, supplying tools and materials to aid in reconstruction. Drywater Junction had become a hub of human activity, efficient and coordinated, under Jonah's quiet leadership. From above, council ships paused. Their sensors and communication networks were overwhelmed by the sudden surge of activity. The Terran systems did not follow their commands. They could not. Humans were acting, and the systems had recognized their intent. Mara whispered, "They don't know what to do. They've never faced humans like this." Jonah smiled faintly. "Then we show them everything, calmly, responsibly, but firmly." The council's lead enforcer attempted a new tactic, a controlled energy surge meant to disrupt the Terran systems. Jonah stepped forward, placing his hand over the central interface beneath the ranch. The system pulsed, absorbing and redirecting the surge harmlessly into the ground. Crops continued growing, drones maintained their protective positions, and streams flowed without interruption. The townspeople gasped. He stopped it." Jonah looked around at them, calm and confident. "Humans adapt, humans protect, humans act. That's why the system listens." Mara touched his arm. "Jonah, you've done it. You've proven to the galaxy that humans are more than the Council ever believed." Jonah shook his head slightly. "Not just proven, we've reminded them. Humans were underestimated for centuries, and now they're waking up to the truth." The Terran systems across the frontier responded to Jonah's broadcast. Small signals, dormant for decades, activated. Machines, repair units, and drones on distant planets powered on, recognizing human presence. Worlds that had depended solely on alien oversight now stabilized themselves. The galaxy began to see what humans could achieve when trusted, when allowed to act. Back in Drywater Junction, the townspeople cheered. The children played in the streams, farmers worked efficiently, and even Tom Carver smiled. Jonah's actions had not only protected their town, they had demonstrated human potential to the entire galaxy. Mara looked at Jonah, awe in her eyes. "The Council may try to respond, they may send more ships, but they cannot stop this. Not now," Jonah nodded. "No, because humans are no longer passive. We will act, we will adapt, and we will protect ourselves and our worlds." Above them, the Council ships hovered, silent witnesses to a truth they had long denied. Below, Drywater Junction thrived, a small human town standing proudly on a quiet planet. And through the Terran systems, humanity's message echoed far into the galaxy. "We are here. We are capable, and we will act." Jonah looked out over the plains, the wind carrying the hum of the awakened systems beneath him. "Today," he said softly, "the galaxy learned a simple truth. Humans don't wait for permission. We act when it is needed. And when we do, the universe listens." Mara smiled faintly, tears glimmering in her eyes. "Yes, Jonah, the galaxy is listening, and they will never forget." The sun climbed higher, casting golden light over the plains. Streams shimmered, drones hovered, crops swayed. Drywater Junction had become a symbol, a reminder that humans, underestimated and restrained for centuries, could rise to meet any challenge. And Jonah Cade, the stubborn rancher, the unlikely hero, stood in the middle of it all, calm and resolute, as the galaxy finally had to acknowledge what humans could do. The morning sun rose over the plains, spilling warm light across fields that had once been cracked and barren. Streams flowed steadily, glinting like threads of silver. Drones hovered above the town, repairing minor damage and maintaining structures with silent efficiency. The Terran systems, awakened by Jonah Cade, had not only stabilized the town, they had transformed it. Jonah stood at the edge of his ranch, hands resting on the worn wooden fence. Beside him, Mara Vell observed quietly, her pale blue skin glowing faintly in the early light. The events of the past days weighed heavily on her. The council ships still hovered above the plains, though none dared approach too closely. They were cautious now, watching and calculating, unsure what humans would do next. Jonah's gaze swept over the town. Merchants were busy arranging their goods, farmers moved confidently through the fields, and children played near the restored streams. The people of Drywater Junction had adapted quickly, learning to coordinate with the Terran systems that responded to their intent. "They're not attacking," Mara whispered. "They're waiting," Jonah nodded. "Good, let them watch. Let them see what humans can do when trusted, when allowed to act." A soft vibration ran through the ground. The Terran systems beneath the town hummed, responding to Jonah's presence. Streams flowed faster, crops swayed gently, and drones moved in synchronized patterns. The system had grown confident in the humans it now recognized. Above, the council communicated again. Their voice echoed across the plains. "Jonah Cade, cease all activity immediately. You are in violation of galactic law. Stand down." Jonah shook his head. "We're not standing down. Humans act when it's necessary, and this is necessary." Mara's hand touched his arm. "Jonah, you've done more than anyone imagined. You've protected the town, shown the galaxy, and reminded the council of something they forgot." Jonah smiled faintly. "Humans were never meant to be ignored. We adapt, we protect, we act, and now they're seeing it." A faint pulse of energy spread from the plains. Jonah had activated a communication protocol, one that allowed the Terran systems to broadcast a message across the galaxy. It was simple, clear, and unmistakable. "Humans are here. Humans are capable. Humans act responsibly. Respect us." Signals traveled to nearby colonies, reaching worlds that had long relied solely on the Council for guidance. Systems that had lain dormant for decades stirred to life, recognizing human presence. Repair drones activated. Small settlements stabilized. Crops flourished. Across the frontier, planets whispered of the humans awakening. From above, Council ships observed the changes. The lead enforcers' multiple eyes blinked rapidly. "They are everywhere. How is this possible?" "They are humans," another voice replied. "They act when needed. That is their nature." Jonah turned to Mara. "It's happening. Other worlds are waking up. Humans are no longer silent, no longer passive." Mara nodded slowly. "But the Council, will they accept it?" Jonah's gaze hardened. "They have no choice. They've seen the proof." In the town center, Tom Carver approached Jonah. I never thought humans could do this," he admitted. "I doubted you. I doubted all of us. But you've shown everyone, including the Council, what humans can really do." Jonah placed a hand on Tom's shoulder. "We've always known. Now the galaxy is starting to see it too." The townspeople gathered, their murmurs of curiosity and awe turning into quiet cheers. Children splashed in the streams, farmers coordinated repairs, and merchants distributed food and supplies efficiently. Drywater Junction had become a living example of human capability, a hub of activity, cooperation, and intelligence. From the Council ships, communication channels flickered. One by one, alien voices spoke with caution and respect. "We underestimated humans," one said. "We misjudged them." Jonah raised a hand. "Humans are not to be underestimated. We do not ask for permission when action is needed. We act responsibly, we protect, we adapt. That is how humans survive. That is how humans thrive." The Council's lead enforcer's eyes narrowed, blinking rapidly. "We must reconsider. Humans have proven themselves." Jonah's smile was faint but firm. "It's time to reconsider. Humans do not need to be controlled. Humans do not need to be silenced. Humans act when the universe requires it, and we've done so today." Mara stepped forward, her voice soft but steady. "Jonah, you've done more than protect a town. You've reminded the galaxy that humans have value, intelligence, and courage. You've reminded them that humans were trusted once, and they should be trusted again." Jonah looked at the plains beneath him. The Terran systems hummed in quiet harmony, repairing, growing, stabilizing. They had adapted perfectly to human intent. They had not failed. They had responded. Humans were never meant to be controlled, Jonah said. They were meant to act, to protect, and to prove their worth. Today, we've done that. And now, we must continue to show the galaxy what humans can do. The council ships began to descend slightly, no longer with aggression but with observation. Their lights shimmered on the plains, reflecting curiosity rather than judgment. The humans of Drywater Junction stood proudly, ready to demonstrate that they were capable, intelligent, and responsible. In the town, Mara turned to Jonah. What happens now? Jonah's eyes swept over the land he had protected for so long. Now, he said, we keep proving ourselves, not with violence, not with rebellion, but with action, with responsibility, and with intelligence. The galaxy will watch, and humans will rise. Tom Carver approached again, nodding. I never believed humans could stand up to the council, but we've done more than stand. We've changed everything. Jonah's smile was faint but proud. Exactly. Change doesn't come from waiting. Change comes from action, and humans, we act. Above them, the council observed quietly. Their calculations, their assumptions, their centuries of control were being challenged. Humans had awakened systems across multiple worlds. Humans had stabilized towns, crops, and water. Humans had shown intelligence, courage, and responsibility. The galaxy was listening. Jonah looked at Mara. We've reminded them of a simple truth. Humans adapt, humans act, humans protect, and the universe is finally starting to recognize it. Mara's voice was quiet but firm. Then Drywater Junction is not just a town anymore. It's a symbol, Jonah nodded. A symbol that humans will never be ignored again. The Terran systems hummed gently, a quiet celebration beneath the soil. Streams shimmered. Drones hovered with precision. Crops grew taller and stronger. The town thrived. And Jonah Cade, the stubborn rancher, stood proudly at the center, calm and determined, knowing that humans had reclaimed their place in the galaxy. From the distant council ships, the lead enforcer's multiple eyes blinked. He spoke slowly, carefully, almost as if admitting a truth he had long resisted. Humans must be acknowledged. They are capable. They are responsible. Jonah heard him, though he said nothing. Words were unnecessary. Actions had spoken louder than centuries of rules or commands. The galaxy had seen the humans of Drywater Junction stand tall, and it would never forget. Mara stepped closer, her voice soft. Jonah, what will you do now? Jonah's eyes swept over the thriving plains, over the people, over the streams and the crops and the drones. We keep living. We keep acting. We keep proving that humans matter, not with war, not with rebellion, but with intelligence, courage, and responsibility. That's how humans thrive. That's how humans lead. The townspeople watched, inspired. They understood now what Jonah had always known. Humans were capable, resourceful, and fearless when needed. They had acted, and the galaxy had listened. Above, council ships began to withdraw slightly, still observing but no longer threatening. The humans had proven their worth. The Terran systems had confirmed it. The universe had acknowledged it. Drywater Junction, a small, dusty town on a quiet planet, had become a beacon. Not of war, not of power, but of responsibility, intelligence, courage, and human capability. Jonah Cade, standing at the edge of his ranch, breathed in the warm morning air. The plains hummed beneath him. The systems were alive, responding, protecting, adapting. The galaxy was watching, and humans were ready. Today, Jonah said softly, more to himself than anyone else, humans reminded the galaxy who we are, and tomorrow we'll remind them again. Mara smiled faintly. Yes, Jonah, tomorrow and every day after that. The sun rose higher, casting golden light over the plains. Streams shimmered, crops swayed, drones hovered. Drywater Junction thrived. And in the middle of it all, a stubborn human rancher stood calm, proud, and unafraid, knowing that humans had reclaimed their place in the universe. The galaxy had learned a simple truth. Humans were adaptable, capable, courageous, and responsible, and they would act. And when humans acted, the universe listened.